go live. So from here on, the audience can hear us. There's about 20 people watching, so this is probably going to be a fairly calm live stream. There's generally less interest in these audio shows, but there is definitely interest. So we have like a really hardcore audience who love our radio shows. You know, they listen to it like it's like a podcast. You know, something you put on the background. Project Interlude.
I used to go a lot of radio theaters, so very familiar to me.
I feel it's an underappreciated genre, and I think that audio is going to make a comeback in a very big way. Especially like now that we're moving into this domain of you know, podcasts. So this is why I want for us to have this like nice a nice audio. I'm trying to find the correct word. I would say like an audio ecosystem as well, where we have several shows who are purely audio based. Live script reading. Just writing up the.
So it looks like it switches the character name back 2 pages in to go from Frank to Duncan. So that's just verifying.
Oh, that's a good.
It's Frank the whole way.
It is Frank the whole way. Yeah. You said about 2 pages in.
Yeah, just about 2 pages in. It's literally at the top of. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's the top of the second. Oh, 3rd page. Where the saying, Duncan, do you know where we are? Right smack dab in the middle of Tokyo town.
That's a good point. I wonder if I can quickly fix that.
This is a work in progress script, so I wouldn't worry too much.
It is.
You guys are going to be reading off the Google Doc, right? Because I also have an offline version. Oh look, our viewership jumped up to 50. That's pretty good. I'm just going to throw an announcement. By the way, hello everyone. I know you guys can hear us. We're in the middle of a Discord call. I have 2 special guests with me, as you heard, and we will be doing a project reveal. The new project is Project Interlude. Just give us a couple more minutes to set up. I'm just checking whether our audio levels are working and stuff. I'm just going to throw an announcement. By the way, yeah, okay, so our audio is good. Announcement, join us for the live stream reveal and live reading of Project Interlude, our upcoming project. I am now mentioning 4,000 people. So that's how we use Discord, by the way, Walter. I'm not sure if you ever use Slack in a professional setting. It's a fairly popular chat client. So Discord is basically like that, but it has a bit more of a gamer audience to it. It was originally made as like a way to like something that incorporates TeamSpeak and as well as chat functions.
Yeah, I've used a decent amount of the chat functions for different communities I've been part of and things like that, but just haven't dived into the video and voice chat yet. So
yeah.
This is all new.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of Discord. I'm a Nitro backer, so that's basically like the premium subscription that Discord has to support their service as well. You get like some nice features. It's a very handy way for us to have both our crew and our community in the same place. So we have chats with different role settings, so people who are crew can see these project chats, and those who are like public can, like, we do games with it. We're experimenting with bots. There's basically a lot of cool stuff going around. It is 11 in my time zone, so that means I am going to turn on my webcam. Hello everyone and welcome to the Project Interlude reveal live stream. I am just setting up some final things. I have 2 guests with me tonight, 2 very special guests. I think you will have already recognize the voice of the one and only Gabriel Flamefang Matsakis, who was with me at PDXCon, also the lead channel dev. He is the director of Project Interlude, so he will be giving us the introduction of what the project is about. First, I'm going to turn on a screen share with our Discord call. Then I'm going to find the correct menu. Yes, that will do it. I think we have it all. Alright, so there is one more person in this chat room, as you guys can see. The person called Smiling Jack Malone. Could you introduce yourself, Jack?
Hi there, my name is Walter Lutsch, and I voiced the New England Ranger in a previous episode, as well as Smiling Jack Malone.
Didn't you also voice the Pacific States, or am I mistaken?
I think I just got the two of them, but maybe I did do a third one.
Yeah, I know you voiced several World of Kaiserreich videos for us. So Gabriel, can you say hi to the channel?
Hello.
So welcome
Want me
to.
Want me to introduce the project?
Yeah. So Gabriel, what is Project Interlude all about? You are the director. I am giving you the mic.
Sure. Well, so the whole concept here was try to do something fairly low to the ground in terms of budget, because, as I think Vincent here can testify, we're not working with a massive budget here, and one of the biggest things is the visual aspect. It costs a lot of money to get good visual stuff. So I thought, what can we do with something else? So what we're trying to do here is basically bring you small snapshots, small little pieces of the Kaiserreich setting, really building the atmosphere of the setting away from the kings and emperors and generals and things that we tend to see in the game. Think of it like a whole series built around flavor events in a way, but significant flavor events, because you're going to be covering important pieces of things that make the Kaiserreich setting what it is.
Gabriel, I'm just gonna have to stop you. I'm getting some feedback from chat that my audio levels are off, so it looks like you guys are too quiet and our music is too loud. So I'm afraid you're gonna have to restart that whole thing. But we're gonna have to do a quick audio test while I fix this.
Of things
just a
that
second.
make the Kaiserreich setting
All right,
what it is.
Gabriel,
you want us to be reading so that you can test levels?
Just a second. I'm tweaking. The problem with these live streams, as our live audience knows, is there's a minute delay between what's actually happening and when people see it. So basically, when I tweak a setting, I have to wait a minute for it to come in. So now I'm watching the live stream with the right eye. So Gabriel's gonna have to redo that entire thing because all people could hear were trumpets.
Oh no.
Is there's a minute delay between I'm just. Can you say something for me, Gabriel? I'm just
testing. 1, 2, 3.
Just a continuous text, so I know.
Welcome to the live stream, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed everything so far, despite the random interruption of trumpets. Hopefully, it was a good fanfare to introduce me for you all.
Yeah, the music is pretty loud. I'm gonna have to do some. It's actually looping. Actually, I think I'm going to. I'm just gonna cut music for this one because there's gonna be too much going on either way. So normally it should be good by now. Can you guys see one more thing?
To introduce me. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. All right. So chat is saying we are good. So Gabriel, can you re-say everything you just said?
All right, I'll try. So, welcome to Project Interlude. The whole idea here is to kind of explore all of these little sort of snapshots of life in the Kaiserreich setting, something beyond the sort of kings and generals and emperors that you tend to hear about in the game, in the mod. You could think of it a little bit like a whole series built around flavor events, but of course important flavor events, because these are, really trying to capture the atmosphere of the setting and the things that make it Kaiserreich. So I hope you guys will enjoy. And appreciate what we put.
All right, cool. I'm looking forward to hearing it. So what we have for you guys today is the live reading of the script, the first script. And Gabriel, can you tell us a little bit more about the scene we're about to read?
Sure. So this script is called the American Comprador, and you might not have heard the term comprador before, but this is actually a historical term for people who played a role in mediating between international businesses in China and the Chinese. Historically, they tend to be Chinese people who spoke English and had some understanding of Western business. But in this case, in the Kaiserreich setting, one thing that's happened is the British and the French have largely been pushed out of China after 1925. And so there's this whole new group of people that have come in who are mainly Germans. Some more Americans have sort of exploited the opportunity, and also the Japanese. And so the people that have been in the cities before, like our protagonist here, Frank Duncan, who himself is the American Comprador, are able to take advantage of this and play this role of mediating between the Germans, the Japanese, the Americans, and of course the Chinese. So this is a situation where Frank Duncan here, our Comprador, is dealing with one of the sort of unique aspects of the setting where the Germans are in Shanghai, something that didn't really happen in our timeline, after 1918. So hopefully you guys enjoy.
All right, that sounds really interesting. So we have Walter with us. We invited him on the stream to voice some of these characters. I will be voicing the Oberleutnant Berend Gluck, a German officer in his late 20s apparently. Walter, you will be doing Frank Duncan as well as the narrator, if I got that correct.
Yep, works great for me.
Perfect. And Gabriel, you will be the Dungeon Master, aka the audio sound we do not have right now. Do we want to read the characters first, like their whole thing, or do we just go straight into the scene?
I guess we can read them off just to give some people some extra background.
Yeah. Can you give us a little read of that?
Sure. So first we have Frank Duncan, who I've described a little bit already. He's an American in his mid-40s who put his knowledge of the Chinese language and markets to use as a comprador, or mediator, for American, German, and Japanese business interests in Shanghai. Frank has been in China since before the Belt Creep, and so has extensive connections across the city. His long experience has made him tough and a little couple. Then we have Oberleutnant Berend Gluck, assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. A German officer in his late 20s. He's a recent arrival in Shanghai and has little knowledge of the city, but plenty of propaganda-driven notions about what it's like. Imperious and self-important, Gluck views himself as an arm of the German state and expects to be treated with the utmost respect. Although relatively even-tempered, when angered, he is quick to resort to physical violence. And finally, we have the narrator, which is actually also Frank Duncan, but he's speaking retrospectively. He misses the way the city used to be, implying that it's changed in 1935, though these changes are unspecified since, of course, we don't have a canon after 1936.
Okay, yeah, that sounds very interesting. I think what I miss here is I wish I had this little streamer deck so I could have ambient sounds playing. But this is our first. Maybe I'll have something on my PC or my smartphone next time. I know there's an app you can connect to your PC to control stuff with. But yeah, I just suggest we jump straight into the intro.
Let's do it.
So you have the first line, Gabriel?
That's right. Intro music plays at a low volume. Ambient sounds of the city are heard.
And then we have narrator.
Once, Shanghai was well and truly alive. The hustle and bustle by day, the neon lights by night. The crowds passing by as if shadows, each a life swallowed up by the vastness of the city. Most made do with what they had, which wasn't much. But the rich, well, they were the city's lifeblood. Princes, politicians, exiles. Most rode out last decade's turmoil from their penthouse suites. Behind those doors, an unending party roared. The city's already frantic energy driven to an opium-fueled fever pitch. If you were stuck on the outside, be it in the back alleys or the right of the Bund, well, you needed the right friends, or better yet, the right money. That's where I came in. You see, after the war, and especially after the British practically walked out of China in 25, a new crowd came in as some of the old left. Germans, Japs, not to mention a few of my own fresh-faced countrymen. Thing was, half of them couldn't speak a word of Chinese, and the other half didn't speak a word of English. And without neither, you were stuck up shit creek, as they say. You can't do business if you don't have a language to do the business in. I'd been in China for 30 years. I had my list of friends and contacts. I knew the lingo, and most importantly, I knew how to do business in a city like Shanghai. So I set myself up as a comprador, a go-between for all the city's new interests. A mediator, if you like. That's how I found myself in the Yanyu one rainy evening in December 1935.
City ambience fades and is replaced by tea house ambiance.
The Yanyu Jingyan, or just the plain old Yanyu as we called it, was a tea house down by the Hongkou Riverside. It wasn't the biggest tea house, but it wasn't the smallest either. Those smoke-filled evenings were where the real business got done. And this time I was due to meet some bean counter from Mitsui. When a big bank sends a little guy, it means one of two things. They're giving you the finger, or they're avoiding attention. Japanese business was good, so I bet on the latter and took the bait. The Yanyu represented Shanghai the way it used to be. Full of opportunity, full of action. A place where the patrons were about as multicultural as the drinks at the tables. The latest Shiradaishu, jazz, played lazily on the radio. Glasses clinked at nearby tables. The sound of laughter and heated arguments alike filled the air.
The ambient sound gradually increases in volume as the music fades.
The room hummed. You could almost lose track of time. Almost.
The ambient volume drops, and after short pause, the doors of the tea house open. A few whispers are heard.
A man entered and removed his peaked cap, his gray uniform sticking out like a sore thumb. Few crowds come to this part of town, and even fewer crowd officers. The crowd eyed him warily as he walked over, pulled a chair, and leered imperiously.
Mr. Joshua Duncan?
Depends. Who's asking?
The Ostchina Directorium is asking, Mr. Duncan. My name is Oberleutnant Berend Gluck, and I'm here.
I interrupted him. Oh, sorry.
No, I interrupted him. You don't just blurt out your business in the middle of a crowd. Hey, bud, keep it down. Take a goddamn seat.
Luke sits and clears his throat.
I'm here to ask for information on certain individuals. Individuals whose plan may contravene those of our friends in Nanking, Mr. Duncan, enemies who might be situated here in Shanghai.
I looked at him and looked back at my drink. Who was this guy kidding? I think you got the wrong man, Lieutenant.
Joffrey chuckles.
I am but a humble comprador. I negotiate, I mediate, I arbitrate. Whatever you're talking about, it's above my pay grade. I never really liked doing business with the Germans. A century of military victory and conquest left them strutting about like made men. The idea that a German officer could walk into any dive in Shanghai and have the entire room jump, click their heels, and erupt in a spontaneous chorus of praise for the Kaiser was inconceivable.
And so you are compensated very generously, Mr. Duncan. Besides, your name appears on some rather interesting documents that recently came into my possession.
Now this was getting interesting.
I know of your dealings with the Vermilion Society and the Kuomintang. For your own safety, I advise you to tell me everything you know.
Whispers intensify from around the room.
If you knew much about me, Lieutenant, then you'd know this kind of business ain't my kind of business. Now I'd advise you to leave, as I have other, more pressing business partners to wait for. I wanted to be left alone and allowed to think about how I'd approach my Japanese contact.
Mr. Duncan, do not force me to repeat myself. You will tell me all you know, now, or face the consequences.
Whispers intensify further.
I would have punched him then and there. But I had a reputation to uphold, and hell, this fool might have even pulled a gun.
Duncan sighs.
Do you know where we are? We're right smack dab in the middle of Tokyo Town. The Japanese have been in charge here for the past 20 years. Pull out that Luger, aim it at me, and you're just asking to start something.
As if I would make such petty threats. No, you must understand. I represent an organization far greater than myself. One word with my superiors or at the consulate, and I can have you blacklisted. No more contracts with EOG businesses, no more work for the Nanking Commission, no more money from Germany. Ever.
Sure. You see those two gentlemen sitting in the corner, Lieutenant? That's Mr. Burke and Mr. Flandon, two old colleagues. They've been in Shanghai for 40 years and know this place like the back of their hand. I'd hazard a guess that Mr. Burke, as an Englishman, is not very fond of your presence. And Mr. Flandon, as a Frenchman, well, let's just say he's got a bone to pick. You can close plenty of doors, Lieutenant, but you'll open plenty more.
You should know, Mr. Duncan, that English and French business is a thing of the past. Now Germany protects Shanghai.
Not this part of town, bud. Didn't I tell you where we were? Besides, Northeastern business is the most profitable kind around here. Business with Manchuria. Not many German speakers up there. Say, do you know any Chinese, Lieutenant?
I would not need to if men like you, Mr. Duncan, would cooperate with me.
Duncan laughs. Some other patrons join in.
You really are helpless here, aren't you? You Krauts never cease to amaze. You do know two suspicious-looking Chinese slipped out of here practically the moment you came in. I'll bet they were KMT, people you were actually looking for, instead of me. I'll never forget that Kraut's face. Disbelief, anger and frustration all at once. I don't know if you even believe me, but he was sure pissed off, and that alone was worth my time. Even the barman grinned. I'll bet you don't even know who Big Ear Do is, do you?
Do I need to?
Duncan and the other patrons laugh.
The man practically runs Shanghai. From the docks to the stocks to the big hotels. Hell, I'll bet he's got an informant in here somewhere. I've done enough business with him to know. Now, who do you figure's out to stop him?
Obviously, the police commissioner. Who else?
The commissioner's in his pocket. Has been since before he even took office. The man you're looking for is William E. Fairbarn. Now, there's a tough bastard. Scars all down his arms and legs. Kind of thing you only get in a back alley knife fight. Don't think he'd be a friend of yours on account of his service in the Royal Marines, but I've done him a job or two. And not everyone who lives to tell the tale. But I could arrange a meeting down some dark street or other.
I imagine he's very threatening, but none of this changes anything. One word with Alexander von Falkenhausen and...
Do you actually know him?
Of course, who doesn't?
Didn't you say you were a lieutenant? Lieutenant? Have you seriously spent any time with him? Gotten to know him? Think you can actually pull a favor?
Das ist unglaublich, diese amerikanischen.
I thought not. Now I'll admit I don't move in those kind of circles myself. As I said earlier, some things are above my pay grade. But you know who isn't? I turned around and pointed to a Chinese man in a navy blue uniform sitting at a table not far behind the lieutenant. The man had paid our little altercation no mind at all, paying far more to the pretty woman at his side, and more still to his poker cards. A cloud of opium practically surrounded his table. That's Sang Shuling, or the Young Marshal, a regular patron here. I do business with him, Lieutenant, and sometimes even with those in his father's circles. You know who that is, don't you? Zhang, the Grand Marshal. I bet more people have heard of him than Falkenhausen outside this quarter of China. I ordered myself a champagne bottle, popped it open, and poured myself a glass. You can't tell your superiors to send someone who actually knows the city next time. I didn't even have time for a sip when the lieutenant grabbed me, lifted me off of my chair, and pulled me to the middle of the room. The whole of Yan Yu was looking now.
You may mock me, but you do not rule this city. You are nothing more than a scavenger, feasting on the bones of the old empires and skulking in the shadows of the new. If we weren't here to guard the balance, do you think the Japanese wouldn't have you by the neck? If we weren't here to protect Shanghai, do you think the Kuomintang wouldn't have you run out like dogs? You are alive only by the grace of the Kaiser. Now speak before I beat you senseless.
The lieutenant is shouting loudly. Everyone is whispering.
He may have had a point, but unfortunately, he hadn't learned his lesson. In Shanghai, I was safer than anywhere else in the world.
The bar's whispering is halted by Joshua shouting.
Hey, Wang! Clock this guy for me, would you?
There's a pause, and then a chair is suddenly heard moving.
Wang was a member of the Green Gang, a real tattooed brute of a man. He'd been a heavy hitter for the last 10 years, if not more. Unfortunately, he owed me a favor. The lieutenant saw him and hesitated, looking back at me and then back at Wang. As I expected, he let me go.
The lieutenant mutters to himself, frustrated.
It seemed he'd finally noticed the room's hostile gaze. Intimidated, or maybe just plain defeated, he turned and left. As the room went back to its business, I tossed a couple cents to Wang, sat back in my chair, and sipped my champagne. My Japanese contact arrived a couple minutes later. He was a military man dressed in a khaki uniform, and he adorned a dark blue shako with a white plume upon his head. His back was straight and his face clean-shaven. Upon entering, some people looked at him, but not as many as did the lieutenant. He quickly sat in the seat that the Kraut was previously in. He put his shako on the bar table, looked towards me, and apologized for his delay, after which we started talking. Truly, that was the most interesting night, but oh well. I guess that's every other night in Shanghai once you get used to the city and its inhabitants.
And that's the end of the script for now. It is a work in progress, notably. So we'll see where it goes.
Really cool. I'm just gonna say we will be doing a Q&A if you guys have questions for us, let us know. So yeah, it was a really cool read. I'm very excited to see where our Frank character will be headed after his altercation with the German Empire. Very interesting to see something of Shanghai as well. It could be a really cool accessory to all the China work we've been doing. Also, who doesn't love like a good crime drama set in Shanghai? So yeah, really good work, Gabriel. This is his script. You as well, Walter. I think your voicing of Frank is going to be very interesting as well. Once we have all the audio and everything set up, it's not a live read. Yeah, great work, guys. So we'll be taking this further. So to start off the Q&A section of the reveal, for those of you who are coming in late to the live stream, just scroll back a bit and you will hear Walter, Gabriel, and me live reading the script. A little altercation between Frank, the Comprador, and a German lieutenant played by me, with an excellent, absolutely excellent on-point German accent. Of that there can be no but no, seriously, in terms of questions, Gabriel, so just I want to start off with the question, like so this first episode is going to be set in Shanghai and focus on Frank. Like, how will future episodes be structured, and what characters can we see, can we like expect to appear in this interlude audio series?
Well, the intent here is to go all around the world. We really want to give a picture of lots of different places and even potentially lots of different times. I mean, this one is set in December 1935, so right before the game actually starts. But potentially, it could be anywhere within this sort of 1917 to 1936 period.
Yeah.
And anywhere around the world. But that said, we actually do have a poll here for you guys.
Oh yeah, that's right. I need to. If you can shoot me the link on Discord, I'll send it over to you.
Yep.
Is it in the interlude audio streams thing?
It should be, yes.
Yeah, the American Comprador, strawpoll.me. So guys, don't forget to vote in this straw poll. The vote is for, I'm gonna pull it up on my screen here. The vote is for, should Interlude be standalone scenes or mini-series? I think it should be a mix, so I'm gonna vote that. I'm not a robot, so I'm just gonna select some trees here and verify.
So the real question with this poll, just to quickly add on, is do you want this to be just single episodes covering a single place each time, or do you want to see Frank again, for instance, in another script, a little bit further down the line? So it's up to you. Pick whichever you think works.
I'm just who is a yeah. So special shout out to the Kaiserreich Leathersauer, who is a co-author on this project. So his Kaiserreich Leathers project, I assume, inspired you to tell this story as well. So we have the straw poll out. Someone asked, aren't the Kaiserreich Cinema making the Kaiserreich loading screens? That is correct. We make a good chunk, but not all of the Kaiserreich loading screens, because Kaiserreich also has its own dedicated art team. And you guys, Flame is also part of the Kaiserreich team, so you guys are also commissioning new art this year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, yeah.
So if you guys are maybe artists who are listening, make sure to, I think you put the call out on the Kaiserreich, Kaiserdev Twitter, that you're looking to commission more art. So make sure to swing by there and like show the devs some pieces of your work. Other than that, I don't see any questions. I'm just gonna swing by our own Discord channel right now. And can you give us an idea of what future episodes will be like? Like what other stories you have planned for Interlude?
So we have a couple of concepts floating around right now. We actually have another author in the project as well, who's currently looking at a sort of a Union of Britain script about the sort of political intrigue happening within the Union of Britain. We have sort of a concept for something in Middle Africa, where cool. Basically the German authorities are kind of faced with the problem that they're overstretched, dealing with a massive area, and so they're forced to compromise between their own interests, the interests of Göring, who is maybe not the most competent leader, and then also the interests of the people that are already there. Of course, the people native to Africa, but also the British settlers that have been there. Who are now under German authority. And then we have something for the French, that is the Commune of France, where they're basically talking about starting international revolution. So all those little feelers that the commune is sending out to lots of other countries trying to spark syndicalism.
Yeah, I actually had this idea. Maybe this is something we should put in the notes for Interlude as well, to have some kind of like a more funny, light-hearted episode. Originally, I had thought it to be a World of Kaiserreich video, but I don't think it fits that series. It might fit this series better. It's basically a bunch of students in Paris in like the 30s discussing varying ideologies within like the spectrum of syndicalism, and debating like very. I'm not sure if you guys have ever like spend a long time with French in a cafe, like when there's enough wine and it starts getting about philosophy and stuff. It's actually quite interesting, and I think that would make a really cool audio show. To get like 4 or 5 guys debating, smoking really heavily, and have like the thick atmosphere of Paris in the 1930s outside. But yeah, so a bunch of really cool creative ideas that we want to try out with Project Interlude. So as you guys hear, Project Interlude is going to be one of those shows that help us support and expand the amount of stories that we can tell by doing it in different ways. So this is another audio show. It will go together with our Kaiserreich Radio, which is already an audio show that we have ongoing. And obviously, we still have the big projects. We have the Divided States full feature animatic, 3 episodes and the trailer slated for a summer release. Progress has not been amazing. It's been okay, but I'm thinking late summer or maybe a delay is in the books. It just depends on how the casting for the voice actors is going to go. Then we have Chomsky, the documentary, of course. Then we have a bunch of music coming with Rachel. We have more projects than I can like remember offhand. Gabriel, help me out here.
I mean, you're the one in charge of everything.
Yeah, you think I know these things. You would think that, but like I have a list.
Kaiserreich Radio, right?
Yeah,
Kaiserreich Radio. That.
Yeah, of course. No, I have a list on Azala, but like it's more than 7. So you know how a human cannot count to 5. I'm not sure what it was, but it's like if you see 5 things, you can still count it, but if you see 6, you're not able to instantly recognize the amount of things that are there. So we have a bunch of questions from Homero. Will the series be like an audio soap series in its own right, like Chernobyl?
I don't know if we can quite match the standards of the masterpiece it is, Chernobyl. But
yeah, if the bar is like the best drama series created in the past 20 years, and okay, let's manage expectations there, but we're gonna try, guys. We're very excited.
I mean, aim high, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
But it won't be as long as something like Chernobyl, certainly. I even though we might do more than 1 episode in the same location.
Yeah.
I think we're probably going to try to limit it to probably 3 per location, so we can kind of have a nice short story that kind of is very cohesive and wraps itself off properly. Episode 4, I don't know about episode 4 because we don't have episode 1 yet ready.
I think Homero's talking about the Kaiserreich Radio episode 4.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, the 3rd episode was released recently, so he's so basically the person you're barking up the wrong tree. You have to ask Alex, who is the director of that show. I know he has it mostly written. I know it's gonna be a Darkest Timeline thing, or maybe that was gonna be episode 5. I'm not exactly sure. So I think end of this month, next month, fairly safe estimate. That's for Kaiserreich Radio. He also asks, what if Führerreich had a channel like Kaiserreich Cinema? I actually don't know, because I don't know people from that mod. At PDXCon we hung out with the Old War Blues guys who we do know well. Do you know people from TNO, Gabriel?
Technically, I do know a few people from the TNO and Culture Creek teams. However, I try to sort of insulate myself from those projects a bit, not because I don't like them, but just because, Kaiserreich doesn't have an official canon after 1936, so I don't want to get too involved with those other projects. And also, I can only keep so many timelines in my head.
Yeah, it gets confusing. Yeah. So our shtick will always be no canon past 36. So, in case people are wondering, again, Project Interlude will not set out canon. I'm not sure, are you planning on going past 1936 in any episode?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, it might be cool for you to stay. Like I think we don't have enough content right now. That's 1919 to 1936, because TDS is going to be 1941, and TDS is within the possibilities of Kaiserreich, like within the spectrum of timelines that Kaiserreich offers, but it's also not canon. And it would be cool to have something that fits neatly within the existing Kaiserreich canon.
Yeah, that's the aim.
Tamash, I think it's pronounced Tamash, if it's a Hungarian name. How many projects are you working on? Tamash, are you talking to me specifically or just the cinema in general? And I think the cinema in general, actually the easiest way is for me to just count the project channels we have right now. We have The Divided States, we have Chomsky, which is the Kaiserreich documentary, we have Interlude, the audio program, we have Kaiserreich Radio, which is 4, we have World of Kaiserreich, which is 5, we have Project Strife, which is 6. We have not announced Project Strife yet, so everyone forget that I said that. It does not exist. We have Project Coronation, which is the comic book, which is 7. We have Project Steel, which is 8. Now, to be fair, Project Steel and Project Coronation are in a fairly rough state, so it's more like insert, let's do something like this with not too much concrete, specifically for Coronation. The problem is we have all that we need to make the comic book, but I need a lot of time to like set up all the scenarios and then brief the comic book artist. He's totally on board with the project. TDS is taking up a lot of time for me right now, the production of the animatics, so I'm still trying to figure out timelines. Basically, also, if you guys have questions for Walter Lutsch about his experiences working as a voice actor for us, also his wonderful Smiling Jack Malone impression, feel free, he's still here, so we can also be taking questions. Daniel Herman says, yay for more music. Yeah, so we actually have a new song coming out with Rachel. It is Sweet Sunny South, and we will release it on Friday, so it's really cool. We've already showed it to our patrons. Solomon asks, will there be characters from China?
In Interlude?
Yeah, Interlude.
Probably. The main challenge right now for both actually Chinese and Japanese characters is that we've had some trouble in the past finding suitable Chinese and Japanese voice actors.
It's not easy.
You might have noticed this a little bit with World of Kaiserreich, but I think it's partially because people in those countries there aren't that many English speakers in Japan, relatively speaking. And then China has this whole sort of Great Firewall thing going on, which makes that difficult as well.
Yeah, I think with most of the Chinese narrators, the problem is that they don't have correct audio equipment. So the audio quality we get is like not something we can put on a video. Mark Lee is an American born. He has Chinese ancestry, but he doesn't speak Chinese, so some of his pronunciation is off. But we really enjoy working with him because we feel his emotion and the tonality of it is really good. Solomon also asked if people wanted to audition, how would they? I actually think you already sent me an email, Solomon. So if you want to audition, just send me some examples of recorded voice lines of you doing maybe audio projects within the space, playing characters in both. If this is for Chinese roles, let's say both Chinese and English, because I think that's going to be good for Gabriel. I'm not like a good judge on what correct Chinese is. My Mandarin isn't great. I think that's about all the questions that I'm seeing. Is there anything else you would like to discuss or say, Gabriel, to tell people about this project? If not, I'm gonna start closing off this live stream.
Not in particular. I mean, I hope everybody enjoys it. This is kind of an attempt by me partially to kind of fill in some of that, pre-1936 period that we don't hear that much about. But it's also an attempt by me to kind of just, experiment a little bit, do something relatively low budget. As I think I said at the start of the stream, but it got sort of cut out by the trumpets and the flare. Vincent can probably testify that our budget isn't huge. So this is an important attempt to kind of play it low to the ground, do something relatively low cost but high impact, hopefully. So I do hope everybody enjoys it.
X-Knox asks, what are the Kaiserreich team's opinions on pineapple on pizza? Walter, you go first.
Oh man, I'm pineapple on pizza all the way. I mean, maybe it's my Smiling Jack Malone loving Hawaiian pizza. But, yep. Pineapple. It's my favorite fruit, so I will take it on almost anything.
Gabriel.
Well, I actually lived in the UK for a number of years when I was younger, and pineapple on pizza isn't quite as uncommon there as it is in some parts of the US. So
Yeah.
I actually quite.
um, for me, particularly, I work in Sweden a lot. So in Sweden, they'll put anything on a pizza, right? And it's where you learn to appreciate the fact that you can pretty much put anything on a pizza and it'll work. So you get these weird like fusion dishes. I think the wildest I've ever gone was pad thai or like some kind of Thai with noodles on a pizza. And I remember taking a bite. And I was like, we took it too far. You know, we were like, you know, we ordered all these pizzas, and I took one bite of that pizza, and it was just this foul taste of, you know, like imagine like eating a noodle sandwich with ketchup. And I remember telling my friends like, we took it too far, guys. This is where we have to draw the line. Looks like more questions are coming in. Project Skringas asks, is this project expected to continue for some time, or is there a limited set of topics you're wanting to cover?
It's gonna go as long as we can think of interesting ideas for it. I mean, if you guys have ideas, feel free to submit them on the Discord or potentially on the subreddit, as long as you title it appropriately, and we'll definitely take them into consideration. But of course, it also depends on our writers wanting to actually write about, whatever you're suggesting. So it also probably depends on how much people like it. So if you do like it, make sure to, typical YouTube sort of thing, like, subscribe, all that. Always appreciated.
Aqualamb asks, are there any German settlers in German East Asia?
Yes, almost certainly. German East Asia, well, specifically Indochina, so today's Vietnam, parts of Cambodia, etc. All of that was taken by the Germans after the First World War concluded, or actually after specifically the Peace of Versailles in 1917. So there are definitely German settlers there, less so in some of the areas that were more British ruled, because the British were kind of already there, and the Germans have to kind of maintain this pretense of being there to protect them.
Yeah. I think there's a very interesting story in there, like what happens when these German settlers meet the old French settlers from the evicted colonial government, and then their tensions with the local government as well. I think that could be a really interesting set piece. Homero asks, are Belgian waffles better than American waffles? And I have very strong opinions on this topic. For those of you that know, I'm not German. This is a misconception. I'm Belgian. It's close. Okay, I speak Dutch. Sure. So I would say the average Belgian waffle is better than the American waffle, but that is because my experience with the American waffle comes mostly from big chain restaurants who do not specialize in waffles. Obviously, I did have really good waffles and chicken. Have you ever had waffles and chicken, Walter?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm a bit of a cook, so I make homemade waffles. I haven't had a waffle in a restaurant in a while because making them yourself is just the way to go. And I've had really great Belgian waffles and really good, American waffles. And Belgian waffles, I think on average are just going to be that little chunk ahead. And especially if you're talking about the worst that Belgian waffles have to offer and the worst that American waffles have to offer, like the worst Belgian waffle is still going to be far better than the worst American waffle that you get at like a Denny's or something like that.
I think the margins there are going to be a little closer together. You mentioned you were you in Belgium? Have you visited Belgium before?
I didn't actually visit Belgium, but I was in Germany for a little while
en
route to France. And so we stopped by and we had this. There was what I was told by my German guide, who's kind of guiding us around a little bit, while we were waiting. He was like, this is like one of the best Belgian waffle places, like, outside of actually going to Belgium. And I was like, oh, great, that's awesome.
Wait, so let me rephrase that. So a German guide took you from Germany to France, and he did not go through Belgium. That's like their whole thing. Do you remember? Oh, that's their whole thing. We do.
Well, the deal was that we were waiting the flight that we were going to take. I was, landed in Germany, and then we were going to, for some reason, I don't know why we weren't just going to cross the border normally. We were going to take a little tiny flight from Germany into France, and it was delayed for like 4 hours or something like that. And they were like, "Well, we're not going to wait in the in the terminal. Let's go out and go see
Yeah, that
some
makes
things."
sense.
And we were
Now,
hungry, so we went to a Belgian waffle place.
yeah, they call it Belgian waffles, but what it actually is gaufre de Liège. So Liégeois waffles. Liège is a city. I'm not sure what the English term for it would be. A city in the French Wallonian speaking part of Belgium, and that's generally if you have like a waffle that's fluffy on the inside but hard, like nicely cooked and crispy on the outside, with a bit of whipped cream, maybe some chocolate. That's gonna be a Liégeois waffle. And that is what people generally associate with the Belgian waffle. But you can get, like, for example, if you go to Bruges, you can have really cool waffle places over there. But I think the best waffle place in Belgium is in the train station of Antwerp. There's this little stand, and it's pretty famous. And they have, I think, the best waffles in Europe. So
We have to include waffles in an interlude episode now.
yeah, we have to do a waffle episode. It's canon. Waffles post 36. Anyway, guys, I think we've run out of questions. So I suggest we like give the live stream a nice little finish there. Gabriel, is there anything you would like to say to our community before we swing off?
Well, as always, thanks for the support. Thanks for enjoying what we do, and hope to see, or I hope you hope to see more in the.
Yep, we're definitely looking forward to this project. So we'll let you guys know when the full episode comes out. Maybe we'll do a little live stream, listen to it together. So if you guys want to stay updated, of course, there's Discord, there's our mailing list. Just go through the links in the description. Walter, anything else you would like to say to the community while you're here?
I'm just, happy that the things that I've been part of and just the whole project in general is so well received, and you guys have got a great community going here. So just poking around on the Reddit pages for a little while, I was like, wow, there's so many people, and they're talking about it's like I'm being mentioned by name. It's like many of the voice acting projects I've worked on, like I just kind of stay hidden in the background and nobody even knows that I'm involved. But
Yeah, we do try and give everyone credits. I keep forgetting add the crew list to every single video because often there's so many people that I forget, like there's people who come in and do like a small contribution to a video and then the video is released 4 months later and I totally forgot. But yeah, I love having regular faces on the channel, which I love working with you, Walter. I've said that before, so it's going to be really cool to have you come back for Interlude, have you come back for Max Steel. You are also auditioning for the Divided States to play the German scientist. I cannot promise you will get a role. We're gonna be doing a lot of auditioning. But I know, like for these particular projects, I definitely have you in mind as they also continue. Like the Max Steel one is a direct continuation of World of Kaiserreich Hawaii, so we're going a little further with that storyline. So we will be seeing and hearing a lot more of Walter. So I think that's about it. All we have for you guys tonight. So this was a shorter live stream. For those of you that missed the live reading, you can just hop back to the beginning. I think it starts about 10 minutes in. We read the whole script of the first episode of Project Interlude set in Shanghai. It is a new audio series we are working on that works in a sort of spoken diary style format and will explore more characters and more locations before 1936 in the world of Kaiserreich. Did I get everything in there, Gabriel?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Do not forget to subscribe and like, and please our Google overlords as they build their corporate dystopia, blah, 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 the regular stuff. Anyway, guys, it was great seeing all of you on stream. Walter and Gabriel, thank you for hopping on with me. It's always cool to have you guys on stream. And we will go back to the work. I have more Divided States news for you guys. Next week, I have the song with Rachel that I'm very excited about. It's another beautiful piece of work. She's a true professional, amazing, talented. And we will be seeing a lot more of everyone in the stream. Thank you all, and I will see you for the next one. Now I need to wait until that part actually comes into the stream. Rachel, just a second. Excited about another beautiful piece of work. She's a true professional, amazing, talented, and we will be seeing a lot more of everyone in the stream. Thank you all, and I will see you for the next one. Now I need to There we go. We are off